Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, spoken words, Rivers Immortals, Japage.
Can we close our eyes as we sing this song with understanding? Out of my belly shall flow rivers, rivers of living waters. One more time in understanding. Out of my belly shall flow. Ambana soile vrabanon tevele kapaina sotele. I know site vaila yataye. What are you doing in the desert when in you flows rivers of living waters? There is a river that doesn't need a broom to sweep you off your feet. Think about this. The Bible said that out of your belly shall flow rivers of living waters. But then how come you have a river inside of you but you are yet to drown? You see, the influence of this river inside of you is higher than Okeodo. It poses a challenge to the offer. Anyone can be offered in offer garage. There is no tank in Tanke that can contain it. No well in Ilori can constrain it. No pipeline can restrain its overflow. There is no post that can deposit the deposits that flow from the office of these rivers. The rivers of living waters doesn't need to be empty and to follow you everywhere you go. I would have you know that he who has the rivers of living waters doesn't need a mobile network to glow. God said, tell them that the air they breathe wasn't given to them by Airtel, but by the rivers of living waters, which flows from he who didn't need a TikTok account to serve as a propeller. Jah visits a man without a container, without a passport, or neither vis-a-vis a visa. Why should the rivers of living waters need a passport to pass the port, when it was the same one who said let there be light without the use of NEPA, the same one who didn't need a firm or a farm to confirm the firmament into creation? But then you see, no one under the sound of my voice is small like an ant. So I won't be adamant to tell you that as rivers, as the offsprings also of Adam, there is a river inside of you that no well can contain, and not even the Kanji Dam, because it's one that flows from now to eternal life. The current that flows from the rivers of living waters makes one current with the affairs of the Spirit. That's why I can tell you that a ruler without the rivers is just an object for straightening line. Because the rivers is for that student of engineering who has lost bearing. It is for the chemist who is in the midst of multiple choices. It is for the student of physics who seeks to know more than the physics of information is being fed with. It is for one who has a huge social media presence, but there is an absence of the presence of God in them. It is for one who is an online sensation, but is not in line with the sensation of the Spirit. It is for the microbiologist whose gist is that is in the midst of multiple choices and is facing macro problems that biology can't fix. It is for the mathematician whose resolve is to find X instead of him to stop giving excuses. It is for the grammarian who knows many grammars but suffers from spiritual blunders, and his vocabulary is filled with no spiritual backing. The rivers, it is for one who is a mass comm student but has come to amass problems that the media or not even the blog can block from going viral. It is for the daughter of Zion, oh, the father sighs on seeing a decadence go spiral. It is for the music minister who has become a minister and is starting to lose his of our holisties. But then please, lease me your ears as you listen, because for beneficiaries of the rivers, what God has in stock is not stockfish. God doesn't need a pot, but he's cooking. God doesn't need to be Hilda Bassi, because who is Hilda Bassi when we let God cook? There is a river of influence that no sphere of influence can withstand its influence, as it's one that flows from now to eternal life. But then I would like you to let you know that why would Jesus not be able to turn water into wine? We'll show you the wine who is intertwined with the rivers of living waters. What is a storm before he who didn't have to bring storm or storm into the sea, but spoke calmly to the sea, peace, be still. It's still the same one who walked on waters. So why would he drown when he created it, made it his habitat? So then you may be questioned with a question that why did Peter drown? Well, Peter is my brother, but let me tell you, the rivers wasn't inside of him, but then it took just a slight shift in sight from the rivers for him to drown. So this tells us that, Baba, your gaze must be like gaze Baba's song. No turning back. For no one who places his hand on the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom. God said I should tell you that there is something fishy for a fish to be surrounded by water, but still complain of thirst. That's why he gave it understanding that passeth all human understanding. So to the glory of God, I am standing here today to tell you that when others shadow, we abide under the shadow of the Almighty. When almighty men are falling, the men of the mighty keep on standing. And I mean the men of the Almighty, because they stand on the solid rock. There is a river that never runs dry, one that runs in mortals, opens portals. Births result as a result of he who walked on the face of the waters. We can't be without water because we are watered to water others. What are the signs you need to see other than those that have been revealed to kings and priests? The signs that have been revealed to men to tell you that this living water is purer than pure water. Biggie can't begin to understand it. Eva can never quantify to it. Siwe no fit, siwe nearam. There is a river that doesn't need us to be drunk on tea. Tea for us. We don't need to be filled with strong wine or tea, but we need to dwell by the rivers of living waters. That is why we don't need to be like all those guys who hide under the disguise and guise of alcohol. We follow protocol by dwelling by the rivers of living waters. That's why we stand out above others. But then for movie lovers, I don't really care if Femi branch to the house of God. There is no place like the house of God. I don't care about a Jagun. Jagun is not like Ja, who is not by name Shegun or a Gun, but stands as our Ajagun Shegun. I don't care about Femi because I won't add a buy or buy in my next statement, because the living waters doesn't need 7 doors when it does wonders that the 7 wonders of the world can't contain. But then, the rivers of living waters is for the church. See, I know you attend CCI, but listen, the rivers of living waters makes your impact in life livelier than the presence of a chandelier in the room. There is a deeper meaning to life. That is why Joshua Selman, sir, Jesus didn't need to attend Koinonia to know that there was a coin nearby. So he told the apostles, go to the mouth of the fish and you will see a coin there. As Mountain of Fire members, there is a mountain of higher influence that doesn't need to draw you closer just because you attend COSA. Not just because you attend Redeem, it redeems you to itself. But then it's with great streams of joy that I tell you that nothing that the river cannot do does not exist, because it existed before anything existed. So for sicknesses, prostate cancer prostrates before the rivers of living waters. For cancer, it's cancer. It cancels cancer. Living waters is a proxy to cure leprosy. When flu flew in, the rivers of living waters came in and it flew away. For influenza, like a venza, it zooms off at the sight of the living waters. Like a business, tuberculosis faces losses before the living waters. Before the living waters, blindness is thrown into darkness. Deafness hears the voice of the master. Paralysis listens to the sound of the living waters. And then, we are not done. The living waters, it makes every lump to slump and die. The living waters makes every form of plague to be plagued by it, because you don't need skin ill to heal skin diseases. This is the speciality of the living waters, curing sicknesses and healing diseases. But then, chief, you don't need an handkerchief in your hand to perform miracles. All you need is the living waters. Psalm on this day, the sermon is that he who is planted by the rivers of living waters beareth forth fruits in his season. Our leaves don't wither even in winter. We don't only spring in spring or even in autumn. And this is a fact the people of the world can't fathom. So in conclusion, dear iPhone users, I think we are clouded by such a great cloud of witnesses because we are the apple of his eyes. But then, everyone who wants to be a river must realize that there is so much water that surrounds you. So it is a sin to complain of thirst. That's why he who walked upon the face of the waters did so, that at every phase of a man's life is without thirst scales through the tests in life and the test of time. So now is the time to look in depth, for there is a level of depth that was deposited inside of you that must find expression now. This is the message from the rivers of living waters.